Today we'll visit an exhibition presenting an haute couture collection of a top-of-the-line Ukrainian fashion house. We will show you dresses worthy of your admiration. We'll learn which world celebrities have clothing made by the Ukrainian fashion house and what dress is the most popular in the exposition. We'll ask the designer about her work and guests of the event about their impressions. Fashion is a way to touch the beautiful, while costumes with a history behind them help us understand eras and portraits of those who wore them in the past. The haute couture exhibition Timeless Grass by Victoria Gres was held in a conceptual showroom. The exhibition showcased the works by the Ukrainian designer from 1999 to 2017. Over 20 of the most recognizable and impressive dresses were presented to the public. There were unique outfits from private collections of both renowned personalities of Ukraine and representatives of foreign countries.
We
tried to collect a small part of what we designed for many years, but we were brought much more. Of course, it was impossible to present all of them. People might be interested in this because they like to see handmade clothing, which they are unable to make with their own hands. Victoria Gres is the most famous designer in Ukraine. She works in accordance with Couture standards. The name brand was established in 1993 in the city of Uzhhorod. The main characteristics of the brand are brilliant combination of forms, textures and colors and smartly decorative clothing. Style, European classics. The brand items are presented both in Ukraine and across Europe. The Victoria Gres fashion house has a 24-year history. Before becoming a fashion designer, Victoria worked as a costume designer in a musical drama theater in the region of Zakarpattia. Over time, Gres decided to try herself as a designer, while the Ukrainian fashion industry was just taking launch. In 1995, she presented her first collection. Then she moved to Kiev, opened her first boutique, participated in Ukrainian fashion weeks, and began showcasing her tasteful and impressive collections abroad. And very soon, the well-known American stylist Robert Behar saw Victoria Gres's collection in a highly popular fashion magazine. He then invited her to design a stage dress for the star pop singer Janet Jackson for her Rock With You tour in 2008. Today, the Victoria Gres fashion house puts out 3 lines of clothing and a line of her self-designed accessories. The designer's many years of hard work as a fashion designer are the key to her huge success and worldwide recognition. In 1993, I came up with the idea to work in this particular field. I had no global plans of becoming a designer. I only wanted to be a painter. When Victoria moved to Kiev, I was immediately interested in her as a costume designer. And from that point, she always came up with solutions for her collections. She tried to combine image with a woman's personality. Each collection had very different shades. When I first saw the collection by Victoria Gres at the first Ukrainian Fashion Week in 1997 as an informal guest, I was struck by her absolutely European approach and stylization of the collection.
Я, звичайно, вже знала про цього дизайнера, ми вже писали тоді в журналі про неї, але мене вразила абсолютна європейськість, з якою була не тільки зроблена колекція, але й стилізована колекція.
Designer Victoria Gres, following the practice of the world-renowned fashion houses, works with stylists. Stylists are people with exquisite taste who are aware of all fashion trends. They work as consultants, give their professional opinions and creative ideas, and are involved in stylization of shows and specialized photo sessions. I started to work with her as a makeup artist, and only in the process of work, when we realized that we felt comfortable with each other, that we understood what we were talking about, we began collaborating on a larger scale, and we continue such collaboration. Vika trusts me, and that's the main thing for me, because she's a designer who respects my vision as it somewhat differs from her vision. When designing her collections, Gres uses exclusively natural fabrics that can be dyed, embroidered, and painted. She designs fantastic prints. The works by Gres are characterized by complex, multi-layered, but non-intrusive designs. At the same time, the designer breathes the spirit and stays in touch with the latest trends in fashion of the new century. When you look at clothing made in the 20th century, you understand that even having modern technology and the most accurate machines, we cannot create something similar. Those clothes, those laces, and those fabrics can be lost in the future.
Безвозвратно уходит. К этому надо относиться с глубочайшим уважением. И никто не отменял музеи костюма, музеи текстиля.
So we should respect them and fuse them into modern design.
Хранилище нашей памяти, хранилище нашего уважения к истокам, тому, что делалось, в общем-то, людьми руками.
Мне это очень близко.
It's very close to me because I have always been fascinated by costume history and fashion history, and I was extremely fond of her creative modern clothing, using details of a suit from the past. She applies the cultures of different peoples and mainly European fashion in her work, but what she creates looks very elegant and imbues a very sophisticated sense of taste and creativity.
Разных народов, но прежде всего, конечно, европейская мода, но это все очень тонко и отмечено высоким вкусом.
I was always fascinated by her ability to combine valuable lace pieces, accessories, and gemstones. Using all this, she creates new trend in fashion decor. Her talent to fill the values of the previous century and combine them with the fashion that is in vogue in the modern world today has always attracted me.
Все, что связано с модой, с красотой, и совместить с сегодняшней модой.
Victoria Gres considers the use of vintage adapted laces and creating paintings and drawings based on them as one of the key elements of her know-how. The fashion designer assures that finding vintage laces is not hard and does not take long. It simply happens in some kind of miraculous way thanks to an open and creative mind.
Они ко мне липнут.
They stick to me. They've stuck to me from the early age. I cannot explain this, but this somehow comes to me naturally. We surf through classical flea markets in Europe and Ukraine, and we process, restore, dye, make copies of goods we bought there, and we're very cautious about what we select.
Вот так. Мы к этому очень трепетно относимся.
Я всегда восхищалась.
I always admired Victoria's love for small accessories, attractive decor, and crafty handmade work. It's all so elegant, and that is precisely what I would call eternal beauty in creating fashionable clothing.
То, что называется вечная красота, да, в одежде.
Particular attention should be paid to the Couture line of clothing by Victoria Gres that are presented at exhibitions. Haute couture includes the abundance of individual handmade work. Her costumes and dresses are popular among Ukrainian show business artists, Ukrainian politicians, and actors that perform in theaters and cinema. This line of clothing was designed especially for festive private occasions and social events. These were an integral part of our couture collections, conveying the message that all this can be necessary and in high demand in Ukraine. This exhibition presents my couture coat, which I care for. I store it in my home wardrobe in a separate coffer, but from time to time I wear it with pleasure, and I understand that this article of en vogue clothing is worth exhibiting in a public museum as it is in my home. One of her significant images is the inaugural costume of Ukraine's First Lady Marina Poroshenko. She wore a lavender dress and a silk coat of the same color that was decorated with Ukrainian embroidery on the skirt and sleeves. To be on a roll, each fashion brand uses various instruments and gimmicks. Somebody keeps a close eye on rapidly changing fashion trends to stay in the groove, while others design something that is behind the times or ostensibly out of trend. I'm selfish. I did things I loved most. I always tried something on myself, wore it, or offered others to try it on. And I think my classical upbringing helped me intuitively design clothing that is comfortable for women to wear. When someone wears the clothing that you designed for 10 or 15 years, this most likely means that the designer and the owner of that piece of fashion wear made the choice. I'm very glad that this designer remains true to herself, does not aim for market conditions and clients, but instead brings clients to her level. I really like the fact that this brand always has a warm and very careful and sensitive attitude towards clothing, as an item that will remain with you for a long time and will not have to be replaced the very next day. Many of Gres's fans consider her style sophisticatedly simple, very feminine and worthy of a true woman. To wear clothes by Victoria Gres is not only prestigious, it is also a sign of a person's refined and even aristocratic taste. My clients are self-sufficient women who know exactly what they want. They have already tasted the most delicious morsels of life. Femininity is what I really appreciate in designers. That is when a designer allows a woman to be herself and that a man plays a completely different role. It's impossible to mix the two, because when you look at a woman wearing clothing by Victoria Gres, you understand that she's a real woman, from her hairstyle to the most opulent and beautiful dress. The fashion industry in Ukraine continues to move forward. It is always in step with the times. The next programs will continue to introduce you to Ukrainian fashion, in which you will learn more about Ukrainian fashion, receive more fashionable tips, watch interviews with the top Ukrainian fashion designers, and get a backstage pass to the Ukrainian fashion industry. So see you in a week in the Gloss program on UATV. Stay in vogue and in tune with Ukrainian fashion.